Hello and welcome back to the program. I am once again your host, Joe. Today we're going to talk about a movie. That's right, so we did the marble race last week. We got House from 1977, aka Houseu. It's a Japanese horror comedy. Pretty good rating on it, 7.3 out of 10, that's not bad. It's a respectable 88 minutes. Just shy of an hour and a half. That's like an ideal length for a movie. You know, longer than that, you start getting a little bit, you start watching the clock a little bit. Great length. And this was something I'd been meaning to watch for ages, just based off of the various posters I'd seen. Because, I mean, look at this. How could I not want to see a movie that has a poster like this? The whole concept of a poster is it's supposed to draw you in and make you want to watch the film, and this definitely does the job. So, this being a horror film, God, how do I even talk about this movie? The visuals... Okay, I will just start from the beginning here. There is these two girls, and they have like a group of friends at school. They're all schoolgirls, but we meet two of them first, and their names are Fantasy and Gorgeous, I believe. Everybody in this film has very on-the-nose names. And one of them is, it's always her home life, and, her dad is like, "Oh, I have news for you." And she's like, "What's that?" And he's like, "This is your new mom." And like a woman comes out, and the scene is played as though she's never met her before. And she's just like, "Hello, I'm happy to be your new mother." And I'm like, "Have you not met this woman before? Is this your first time meeting her? What the shit?" She's like, "No, you'll never be my mom," and like takes the scarf off of her that she's wearing and throws it. And the whole scene is shot through like a window, sort of. So like everybody's framed differently by the various panes of glass in this kind of bizarre window frame thing. And God bless the people who are making this thing, because this was the first hint that there was going to be some bananas visuals here, because they used two of the panes of glass as like a comic book panel, basically. Everything else froze, and then the scarf drops, and I'm like, oh, clever. That's pretty good. God, and so the girl is upset, she runs back to her room, and she's hiding there, and she's like looking at pictures of her mother, and I'm realizing that not only has Dad introduced this woman completely out of nowhere and said, "This is your new mom," he's also dressed her like her dead mother, like in the framed picture that the daughter has, and I'm just like, this is the worst idea. Holy shit. This is like, I know that like there's a thing about like sitcom dads and whatnot, just having like the worst ideas and being complete like idiots. Holy shit, this dad has just the worst way of introducing things. Like, oh my god. No wonder she's mad. So this whole thing is the impetus, the setup for the girl to go to school, gather her 6 friends, and the bunch of them will all travel to her aunt's house to spend some time. She wrote a letter to her aunt and was like, "Hi, I'm gonna go there to visit you." And the aunt is like, "I would love if you would come and visit me. You should come over and visit me." And so the 7 girls, they all of them, as mentioned earlier, have very on-the-point names. So there's Fantasy and there's Gorgeous. There's Melody, who's a musician. There's Mac, who eats food. That's her thing. They named one of the girls Prof, short for Professor, because she's the nerd and has glasses. There's one who's a martial artist whose name is just literally Kung Fu. They're just calling their friend Kung Fu. And there was another one whose name escapes me completely. It's not important. So yeah, they all go out there to visit her aunt, and I swear to God, like, so they've got like painted backdrops and scenes, like just wonderful use of matte paintings. I love this shit. It's like a lost art form when it comes to movies. if this was shot today, they would want to shoot it in front of like a green screen or something. But because this was done in the 70s, no, wait, they actually did use green screen at least once. But because this was done in the 70s, they had the ability to just like, they would just put a painting behind them. And this is a very common film technique. They used it in Star Wars even. When you see like the big hangar bay in like the Death Star, that's a painting. That's, somebody painted that, and they just shot it, and they were like, yeah, this is in the movie now. Just treat it like it's scenery. And they did that here. There was like, I swear to God, one scene where they like get off of a bus, and they're standing in front of a painting of the scenery, and then like the camera pulls back to a different angle to see the bus pull away, and you see that the painting that they're standing in front of is a painting of the scenery behind the painting. And I'm like, that is unnecessary. I love it. It's ridiculous. There's a scene where like the movie for like 10 minutes, maybe not 10 minutes, but for a period of time, about 15 minutes into the film, it like turns into a Beatles movie. I'm like, this looks like it could be the Yellow Submarine, because they get onto a train and it's like animated all out of nowhere, and I'm like, well, what is going on here? A lot of the animated features in this feel the editing feels very Terry Gilliam, except like not as a director but as the cartoonist from Monty Python. It's great. Oh my god. If I just did a review where I just was like, this is a cool effect that happened, this is a cool effect that happened, this is also a cool effect that happened, we'd be here all day. Because, like, the effects aren't necessarily well done, but they are visually bonkers. Like, they wanted to show that somebody got, like, beheaded and, like, their corpse was like all mangled and like, what do you call it, where like not drawn and quartered, but like dismembered, I guess, because like their limbs all flew off from like the violence of their death and whatnot, and so they just like green screened the separate body parts and moved them around on the screen, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. I'm here for it. It's fun. The girls have like a teacher that they for some reason have a crush on. He's like a goofy guy, Mr. Togo, and they're like, he'll come with us to your aunt's place as like the school chaperone. And I'm like, this isn't a school trip. You're just inviting an adult on your teenage trip. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's a bad idea. Don't invite an adult. I don't care if he's like the teacher from the school. He's too goofy. He's not responsible. He's not a responsible man, Mr. Togo. But yeah, like partway into the horror movie, as we're just seeing, every time it cuts back to Mr. Togo, he's having another ridiculous scene. Like, I swear to God, our introduction to him, not our introduction, but one of our first scenes with him, he's walking down some stairs, he trips and falls, he slides down the stairs, lands ass first in a bucket, spins around and slides down the road, and it's all filmed very stop motion. And this is, with the music and everything, I'm like, this is a Beatles movie scene. I can think of no other way to describe it. It's ridiculous. Yeah, there's a very well-behaved cat. If you like if you like cats acting in films, there's one in like through the whole damn movie, and this is a very patient and well-behaved actor cat. It's chill, it walks, it sits when it needs to. Excellent work, whoever the cat handler was. I need to get it. There's just a wonderful scene where they're like, where's the house? And a guy he does that. Just the pointing, it's ridiculous. We all lost it. And that's the sort of visual you'll get when watching this. They show up at the house, and Auntie is there in a wheelchair, and she's like, hey girls, come on in. Thank you for coming when I invited you. And so they all roll in, And she's like in her chair and she's wheeling around and the house is like dusty as all fuck. And she's like, oh, the fridge doesn't work. We'll have to store the watermelon you bought in the well. I guess that's the thing people do. I don't know. But yeah, just as the movie happens, one by one, the girls are slowly picked off. Ooh, who will survive? How will it end? The house is like haunted and killing them. And as they die, like, I don't necessarily want to say Auntie is like improving, but after the first one is dead, she is very much able to stand up and doesn't seem to need her wheelchair anymore. It's a miracle. I'm not gonna... I mean, if you read a plot synopsis of this film, it feels incredibly generic. Just like, girls go to a haunted house and things happen to them. Woo! Obviously, the appeal of this movie is how it's shot, the effects, it's the story is not super compelling, but holy shit, it looks incredible, and it will keep you laughing the whole way through. It's like one of my favorite George Clooney movies, Michael Clayton. After seeing it, I was like, the plot of this movie is incredibly predictable, and they just acted the fuck out of it. It's really well done. This is a really well done film. Give it an Oscar. I think it won one or two. But I hadn't heard any sort of hubbub about it at all. There was no like groundswell around this film. It just, to me, came from out of nowhere. I was at the theater one day and I was just like, I want to see a movie. And I went there to watch something, and I had like missed the showtime because the buses were terrible. And so I'm just like, well, what can I see instead? And I saw a poster, and there was George Clooney, and I'm like, I'll watch a thing with him. And that's what happened here. The story of the movie is not that original, not that like... the story isn't the main thing that you're getting from this. It's how it's shot, it's the ridiculous effects, it's the incredible tonal whiplash from like going from just a happy-go-lucky bouncy music as girls are doing girly girl things to like, oh, that's a severed head. Oh no! Why is that skeleton dancing? Why was that skeleton dancing? There is a dancing skeleton in the back of like so many scenes in this film. And I'm like, nobody's noticed the dancing skeleton. I don't know. Yeah, watch it. Watch the movie. Watch it. I can't obviously show you a whole bunch of visuals just because A, how would I pick? And B, how would I get them past copyright? Clearly I've encountered some issues with the copyright strikes. Looking at you, Saladin the Victorious. Yeah, highly recommend House, 1977. Look for the cat. The cat is important. The cat is important. Yeah, I will say, like, I was watching this with people, and like, one of them was just like, okay, so this is gonna happen. That's the thing that's happening. This is what's happening. And they all came true. And it didn't even matter that we were able to call the movie, because it's just like, that's not the point. You're not watching this for the incredible, riveting, suspenseful plot of a horror film. You go into a Friday the 13th movie, you know you're going to see a bunch of people get killed in various ways by Jason. I had to remember which one was... He's Friday the 13th, Freddy Krueger is Nightmare on Elm Street, and then there was that one movie where they fought each other. Yeah, you go into that, you know what's going to happen. You're going to see some people get killed by a hockey mask wearing guy with a knife or whatever weapon he happens to be handling at the time. And in this, you know what you were going to expect. You were going to see some kids go to a haunted house and die. Except nothing can prepare you for how they die and how it's represented and just how it's played. Oh my god. Watch the movie. And hey, speaking of watching the movie, what are we watching next week? Go. Okay, so it's too early to call anything. I'm not even going to try it. I know that the thing says, like, oh, this is out front. We don't know what's actually out front because, you know, it judges who's closest to the front. Vampire, out front. But quickly followed up by Fellini's Satyricon, The Killers, Phantom of the Monastery, The Fabulous Baron Munchausen, The 3.5 Hour Seven Samurai. Don't do it to me. I could probably do it this weekend. It's a long weekend. It might actually be a good time for Seven Samurai. Satyricon is out front, followed by Moonrise Kingdom by my favorite director. The Cameraman, Phantom of the Monastery still, The Hit, My Dinner with Andre, coming up there behind. Moonrise Kingdom knocking those tires over. The Cameraman out front now. The tire obstacle seems to be a real game changer. The Cameraman and My Dinner with Andre out front. Followed by still Moonrise Kingdom and The Hit. Tires are coming up. How badly is this going to screw with them? Oh boy, it is a mess. Night Moves out front now. Night Moves, I don't remember you at all. There's still a couple of more batches of tires. It's still anybody's game. What the hell is Night Moves? Everything's bunching up. Everything is bunching up. It's the water slide from The Simpsons. That's what it is. This is going to be a very close one. I can't call. The Killers is out front apparently. Last hurrah for Chivalry. Ooh, there's more tires. There are more tires. This is a mess. What a mess of a course. Alright, A Man Escaped is out front. Hitting tires. Vampire is out front now. It's slowly creaking through. Are we watching a vampire movie? Oh, are we watching a vampire movie? We're watching Night on Earth. Alright. That was the... Everything finished at basically the same time, except for Fear City, which is stuck on a tire. Fear City, what are you doing? Oh, there you go. Okay. Everything made it through. Our winner, Night on Earth. Okay, what is the deal with Night on Earth? And yes, the Fabulous Baron Munchausen has been in the running for the first 5 for the last few weeks. We're gonna watch it eventually. I'm excited to watch it when it happens. Alright, what's the deal with Night on Earth? Let me peruse my list here. Night on Earth. Okay, Night on Earth from 1991. Chosen because it fits the criteria of a movie from the 90s. It's directed by Jim Jarmusch, who is a well-known and respected director. It's a comedy drama, 7.7 out of 10, just over 2 hours long. Okay, that sounds interesting. Yeah, that'll be a fun watch, I think. Comedy drama? That's basically every 90s movie that's not like a superhero thing. Yeah. I will be excited to see what that is all about. I do not remember anything about it. It must have had an attractive trailer. Or maybe I just saw the director was Jim Jarmusch and said, I need to put him on the list. I could see either of those.